From coast to coast and around the world, this is Kaleidoscope, America's most exciting radio magazine. Stay tuned for more.
Welcome to Cool People, Cool Careers. I'm Jill Sanborn, and this week I'm interviewing David Hayter, screenwriter of last summer's sci-fi action movie, X-Men. We're going to ask David Hayter about his life and his exploration so far of different career options to become who he is today, a hot commodity A-list screenwriter in Hollywood. David Hayter, thank you for joining me.
Yes, well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let me ask you, I know you're busy screenwriting these days. What are you working on now, post-X-Men?
I'm presently working on X-Men 2, actually, and I've just recently completed my first draft on a sequel to a movie called Pitch Black with Vin Diesel, and creating a television series based on the Wizard of Oz books. There's 45 books in the series, and so we're trying to turn it into a world.
Well, that's exciting. Does it have a name?
Well, I've been thinking about it, and we haven't decided on anything just yet. I want to tell you my idea, but I can't do it just yet.
Too bad. I'd like to have the breaking news on that.
I know. Well, maybe at the end of the interview, I'll let the cat out of the bag.
Okay, great, great. Well, I loved X-Men, the movie, and I'm looking forward to X-Men 2. Gosh, I've got a crush on about all those X-Men, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that nasty woman Mystique. So,
right. Yes. Well, we've got a fair amount in store for her.
I'm sure you do. Let me ask you. I want to find out, what does a screenwriter do?
Basically, I can only speak for my own sort of segment of the business, but basically the studios come to me and say, we have an idea for this, and can you see turning this into a movie? And then I'll give my ideas, and we'll make a deal, and then I flesh it out into a treatment, a storyline treatment.
Okay.
And then once we go through the notes process with the studio, I write the script.
Where does screenwriting fit into the whole filmmaking process?
Well, it is sort of the beginning of the process.
Okay.
It's somebody gets an idea, or a writer gets an idea, and until you know what the script is going to be, it's very difficult to have any concept of the movie. So very often, the script will get written, and they'll use that script to attach actors or directors or whatever. So it's that's where it starts.
Now, there's a point where the screenwriter usually then disengages. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I wanted to know, usually it's not normal, is it, for screenwriters once it goes into production to be involved? Isn't that correct?
Well, there's been a big dispute about that lately on the during the recent Writers Guild negotiations for the new contract. The writers, had been fighting for more involvement on set, which is understandable, because the script is definitely a huge part of the process. It's one of the, in my opinion, one of the three main elements that make a great movie: writing, direction, acting, and so writers are trying to get more participation on set, and on X-Men, for example, I was on set through the entire process, and it was great. It was, I think it made for a better movie. It definitely, but in that situation, the director and I had very much the same idea for what the movie was going to be. In other instances, the writer and the director can have two totally different ideas of what the movie is going to be, and it can be a very confrontational process, and that's not necessarily good for the movie. So
no, it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah.
Are there normally multiple screenwriters on a movie?
Yeah, that's common. They'll often bring in different writers with different strengths. Some writers are better with story, and some writers are better with action. Some writers are better with dialogue and character. And it's a common practice for the studios to bring in different writers. I personally like to invest myself in the project to the extent that I try to cover all those bases to circumvent the possibility of other writers. But sometimes it happens.
You did an excellent job on X-Men. It was fantastic. Tell me, what's the best part about being a screenwriter?
Job-wise, it's the ability to, once you've gone through the notes and the treatments and everybody's input, and you finally go to script, the best part for me is just diving into that world and just feeling what your characters are feeling, and coming up with dialogue just because you know it's right, and it's an incredibly creatively fulfilling process. Now the subsequent development process after that can turn all that on its head, but the process itself, I think, is pretty great.
Now, writers often work in a solitary environment, so I'm interested in, what are the biggest challenges of being a screenwriter? And it could be what you were just talking about, is the production process.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to spend, months writing writing a script by yourself, and then have 10 different people come in with their notes, and this and that and this and that. I think it's very disheartening for a lot of writers. I came into it on X-Men, which was a highly developmental project, so I sort of got used to it on my first thing, and I just kind of look at it as a part of the process. People have their notes, and you try to accommodate everybody, but at the same time try to retain the voice of the story that you were trying to put forward initially.
Right. Financially, if you hit it big, it's successfully very rewarding. But is it, for most screenwriters, is it a pretty fickle income stream?
Yeah, I have a number of writer friends, and we talk a lot about the levels that we're at, and I'm at a certain level, and there are, I've been lucky enough to be put into a very respectable level, but there are writers above me, and there are writers below me, and there are writers below them, and I think the goal is to, get where you want to be financially, but like any creative business, it's a difficult thing.
Let's talk about your writing habits, your regimen. Do you have any rituals that you go through, like a little dance, or you only write by moonlight, or you have lucky socks, perhaps?
Well, I tend to do a little dance after I'm done. A little victory dance. In fact, when I finished the first draft of Pitch Black 2 last week, I spent the whole weekend doing my little screenwriting dance.
I'd like to get that on film.
Yes, well, yeah, you and everybody else. That's not going to happen. But I don't really have a ritual. What I have an office. I like having an office space. I think it makes me feel like I'm at work, and the work needs to get done. And really what I do is I go in, I shut the door, so no phone calls, no distractions, and I sit down, I play one tournament of poker on my computer while I'm thinking about what I'm going to write for the day, and then I spend the day writing. And if I don't, and I have certain goals for the day, I try to, I write fairly quickly, and so I'll try to, my average is about 5 to 8 pages a day, which is pretty fast.
Do you think you sound disciplined?
I think so. I don't know if I consider myself a disciplined person,
okay,
but this is the first time in the past 2 years I've started to make money in a fairly serious way. And while that's the nature of the business, and you think, well, I'm at the big time, I deserve to be making whatever, as far as I'm concerned, if somebody's paying you what they're paying me, they deserve to get the work done on time and well. So.
Is there pressure? Do you ever find yourself in a pressure situation with regard to time?
Well, again, I write fairly quickly, so I don't, on average I don't, but in this past year, trying to solidify my position in the business, I've taken on a fair amount of projects, and